So hi everyone, today's a special day, and to all the GOT fans and nerds out there like me, I have something special for you today. We have a coffee table book of Game of Thrones, officially released by HBO, and I'm really excited to show them to you. And because this is my way of celebrating 10 years of HBO. It was 10 years ago today when HBO released the first episode in the first season of HBO. Never mind the last season, but hey, still a good show, okay? So let's get started. Okay, so here's the book. It's a big book. It's a big coffee table book. It's quite hefty. It's quite heavy. It's about 400 plus pages. Game of Thrones, The Costumes by Michelle Clapton. Michelle Clapton is the head of costume department of HBO. And I'm just gonna take off the sleeves because it's easier for me to flip through, but my god, this book is heavy. And I want to show you the sleeve and the hardcover book, right? Okay. So this here is, you know who this is. We all know who this is. This is Sansa. This is such an iconic dress, one of her badass dress moments in the show. And it goes on to the back. Yeah, it does. And then, of course, at the front, we all know who this is. Jon Snow, right? And at the back, you have Dany. Oh, diba? Ganda. Okay. So I'm just gonna put that aside and then let's get on with it, shall we? I'm just gonna make sure that we're center. Center na. Okay. Game of Thrones, The Costumes. And of course, just the first page pa lang, you have Dany right there with her 3 dragons. Right? And you have the 4 houses, well, 4 of the major houses, I would think. So you have the Starks, the Lannisters, the Greyjoys, and this must be Targaryen. I don't know, maybe. Or Baratheon, kasi medyo red. Anyway, okay, so this book is packed, as you could see. We will go through all the houses. And there's a foreword by the creators of the show, and this is Michelle Clapton, I believe. She, like I said, she is the head of costume department in the show, for, if I'm not mistaken, for all the seasons, right? Not just season 1, for all season 1 to 8. So I'm just gonna go ahead and flip through this and go straight to the Starks. Okay. We all know whose dress this is, right? That should be Sansa. Definitely Sansa. Okay. Oh, see? There she is. She is so young. What's her name again? Sophie Turner. She was so young. I don't know how old was she when she started the show, but I think her and Maisie Williams, the girl who played Arya, I think they started off at what? 13, 15, 13, 14 years old, parang ganon. So it's kind of, or maybe a little older. So it's kind of very loyal to how it was written in the books, right? Actually, in the books, I believe Sansa was 11 years old and Arya was even younger. So of course they couldn't cast them at that young, right? But I think, you know, this is just perfect. And this should be one of her first few dresses. Be very innocent with her red flaming hair. Ah, okay. And now she goes into, this must be in the King's Landing na. I wonder what part is this. Was this the part when Joffrey asked her to take off her clothes in the altar? But anyway, it's very nice. It's very nice, very detailed with all the embroidery and that nice thin gold hardware of a belt. That's really nice. That's something that you could rock now. And look at that. Of course, her wedding gown with Tyrion. And it's so gorgeous, right? I mean, in the show, you don't see this in the show, and you only get a glimpse of their gown. I mean, you know that it's such a nice gown. It's just a nice costume, but you don't really see it in this detail. And like this, in this shot, she was actually also wearing a cape over the dress, so you wouldn't be able to see the full intricacy of the beading and of the, you know, embroidery. I mean, just look at it, the back with all that detail and that kind of armor, like I don't know what to call it, bodice. So yeah, it's really gorgeous, really, really gorgeous. Talagang legit ball gown, diba? And look at that, it's even better at the back. Wow. That is gorgeous. And even this, look. I don't know if you could see that detail. At the back, that's the Starks direwolf. That's the direwolf sigil, diba? At the back of her dress. And I remember this when I was watching Lord of the Rings and we geeked over the bonus materials of Lord of the Rings DVD box set. And one of the bonus materials there mentioned that the costume department of Lord of the Rings really took the time to create the costumes for the actors, even though nobody else would see details like this. For example, like this one in Sansa's dress. I don't know how much this particular part of the dress was shown. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, we don't know. But they do it anyway because they love the show and because they know that gives, the costume gives authenticity and gives life to the actors and kind of help them get into character. So little details like that are amazing. Oh, see? That was Sansa. That's a Sansa dress. The one at the front with the feathers, the black feathers. This is one of her badass moments, dress moments in the show. I really loved it with all the all black ensemble, but just playing on different textures. She has the feather, she has that parang muslin na tela, and then she has the metal, the hardware, and then of course against the backdrop of her really nice fair skin, diba? So it's kind of gorgeous. And there's this blue and black pa pala, the effect. Super nice. It's a moment, really. It was such a moment. And of course, her wedding dress to Ramsay Bolton. Who would forget? This is a grand dress. I mean, just looking at it when you saw it in the show, like it's it's nice. Her wedding was in the evening, wintertime. They got married in the Weirwood in Winterfell. It was a moment, but honestly, I'm okay with this dress. I'm not, it's okay lang. I don't, not one of my favorites, I should say. I even prefer the all black dress moment than this one. But that being said, it is still a very intricately produced dress with the fur and the stitching. And again, these little things that you don't see in the show. Of course, she's wearing some kind of a hook for a button to kind of clasp pala, not button, clasp her dress, and it's a fish, and of course that's in honor of her mother, who is a Tully, and the sigil of a Tully is the fish, right? Catelyn Stark, right? I love Catelyn. I'm sure she's in here somewhere, so we're gonna get to her soon. Another moment for Sansa. She really likes that chain, that round hardware necklace with chain. I like her here. This must be towards the latter part of the show where she is back in Winterfell and she's becoming really, really good politician and ruler. Yep, like right here. This must be the moment when Arya is also already back in Winterfell, or coming back to Winterfell, at least medyo malapit na. And she started wearing this really kind of like form-fitting armor type dresses, all black, just different textures. And again, you can see it here, the detail here. She has a belt, leather belt that goes around her body like that with the Stark sigil. Galing. You gotta hand it to the costume department, man. I mean, they really thought hard about these things. And it's really, the costumes really conveys the personality of each of the character, right? In the books, I don't know. Of course, it's all in your head, diba? In the books, they describe them as they are, but not in this type of imagination, right? I mean, this is really something. It's such a treat to watch from the books and then in the show. And I guess these are different iterations of her cape. They have the red leaves from the Weirwood. They considered the Stark direwolves. And the different iterations to her crown, which they landed in this Stark crown. Ah, there it is. Yep, it's the it's the dress that she wore in her coronation as Queen of the North, right? And it was such a short scene. Can you imagine? It was such a short scene. If I'm remembering correctly, she just walked, tama ba? She just walked some aisle, and then you could see the back of her dress, and then she turns around, and then that's it. That's the end of the scene. She's Queen of the North. And we don't see this. We don't see her dress in this detail. You don't get to appreciate that in the show. This is what's shown in the show. But this is her whole dress, diba? So you have the whole side detail of all the red leaves there, and then the fur. It goes around her neck that becomes the direwolf, and then the feathers there in her armor. That looks like a tree. Diba? Parang tree branches. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I don't know. Okay, now we get to Catelyn Stark. The awesome, just super galing Catelyn Stark. Catelyn is a great character in the book, I have to say. But in the show, this actor, what is her name? I have to know her name. Michelle Fairley. Michelle Fairley. She just brought this this character to life. You just love her. Everybody loved her. I loved her. I don't remember loving her that much in the books, but in the show, you just love her. So this is her dress again with the fish sigil as the clasp. It's something parang ano rin, ano, similar to Sansa's dress. Similar to Sansa's pink dress, I should say, the one we saw earlier. Very nice. Oh, yun lang. That was quick. Okay. And now we move to Robb Stark. I love Robb Stark. He is my GOT crush. I am a Robb Stark fan more than a Jon Snow fan, but I knew that he's not gonna last because I've read the books right before the show. But this actor, Richard Madden, he's gorgeous, and I thought he played it really well. I love him. Yeah, I did. The few times that he was in the show, seasons 1 to 3, loved every scene he was in, the intensity, the accent, the King in the North, the first original King in the North. And then we get to Arya. I love Arya. I love Arya better in the books. I have to admit that her story arc in HBO show was also really, really good, and they kind of captured that really well. But I like her better in the books, and I think she has more airtime in the books than in the show. But that being said, Maisie Williams played her brilliantly, and I love her. Like I said, I love her story arc in the show. I can't remember anymore the details in the books, but I'm sure they changed a lot throughout the whole show, right? We know that we have made peace with that. We have accepted it. Probably the only season that's truly loyal to the books, to the source material, would be season 1. Yeah, probably just season 1. From the first episode to the last episode of season 1, that's probably where you could see like you were like almost literally reading from the book, from the source material. But then when you get to season 2, and especially season 3 onwards, then that's when the showrunners became more creative, but also still with the blessing of George R.R. Martin, the author. And then this is the part where Arya starts training to be the assassin with the many faces. Yep. Again, I like her story arc, but this is one of the plot lines that I didn't like very much, although I like the revenge part of it. And she started becoming a killer. And of course, this iconic badass moment of Arya in the show with her. It's just her, right? I mean, Maisie Williams herself, the way she stands, the way she has her hands at her back, even the arch of her eyebrow, that face, it's just so badass. Like, she's so petite. She's tiny, she's petite, but man, is she good.
Don't go where your enemy leads you. Nice sword. Very nice dagger. Move aside, Podrick. You can't use that, my lady. It's too small.
I won't cut you. Don't worry.
I'll try not to.
She's scary. Love her. And of course, this moment. I'm not a fan of this cutout cape thing, but I guess that made sense for her to kind of wield and kind of grab her daggers and her sword easily. In a practical sense, that makes sense, but I'm not a fan of the style. Okay, now we get to Brandon Stark. Brandon Stark. Another fish in honor of Caitlin Tully. Brandon, I didn't like her in the first few seasons. He just, to me, he's just a whiny little brat, whiny, annoying little boy who we knew must be extra, extra special because he's having these visions and dreams and all that. And can you just imagine that first episode, or the ending of the first episode of the first season wherein he was pushed out of the tower by Jaime, and then you knew you are going to follow this show. And he grows up to be Brandon. There. Brandon. I'm not gonna say anymore. Okay, Brienne of Tarth. I love her. Again, in the books, she doesn't look like Gwendolyn Christie, the actor. In the books, I think George R.R. Martin is more brutal in the books when he describes these characters, even Tyrion, right? But of course, in the show, they had kind of adjusted, I suppose, for whatever reason. I like Gwendolyn Christie. I like how she played Brienne of Tarth. I like how she brought this character into life, because in the books I kind of remember her being important enough. Yeah. But in the show she just, she's parang she's almost at par as the leading actors, diba? In the books, I don't remember her being that way. And those the heavy costume. I can only imagine these costumes must weigh a ton. Parang you're wearing your rug or your area rug at home, your carpet. I think I lost my audio. Hello. Okay. It's okay. So now we get to the House Greyjoy. Theon Greyjoy. Okay. Right from the first episode in the first season of HBO show, not Tyrion. Theon Greyjoy is already annoying. He is annoying. He's a douche. He's just not somebody you would like. And that is his story arc, I suppose. Right? He started off as this really unpleasant, douchey kind of guy who tried to overthrow Winterfell, for crying out loud, and then really mayabang and obnoxious, who thought that he could just go back to his father and claim that he's the only living son of Greyjoy, which was true. But then he didn't realize that, so what, we don't care about that, right? I mean, Greyjoys are different. And so he is an unpleasant character, but then his story arc in the show is that he gets better towards the end. You get to love him in the end. You get to forgive him because he saves Sansa, and then he tries to save Brandon, and so on. I'm not convinced. It's okay. Greyjoy, Theon Greyjoy is okay. Yara Greyjoy, the sister. Nice costume though. Oh, okay. Euron Greyjoy. I realize I should be talking about the costumes, but of course, I would end up talking about GOT in general. Euron Greyjoy's character is also an interesting one. And look at his costume. Also interesting with all the star cutouts. Diba? Oh, Lysa Arryn. I love Lysa Arryn. This actor was so good. She was so good in being this really almost psychotic, insane, overprotective mother and wife. Paranoid, neurotic. I love it. And her costume, of course. Look at that, with the bird, and the veil. The falcon is also a dominant motif in the embroidery that adorns the gown. Falcon pala ang sigil niya. And her son, Robin Arryn. Another annoying little boy. Okay, so we get to Littlefinger. We all know Littlefinger, and we all kind of started liking him. We like him for being, we like his manipulative side and his kind of maneuvering side. Same as Varys, right? And they're both in kind of the same character. They kind of balance each other out. And he has good costumes too, which changes over time, becomes darker and darker and darker. Si Sansa ba to? Yeah, I think that's Sansa. Oh, he has a little bird there. Center. Okay. Mockingbird Siege. I remember this one. I think it was in season 2. Yeah, it's in season 2 wherein Cersei mentioned something about that mockingbird, that she said that you designed that sigil for yourself, right? Because you don't actually have one, but because you are the ambitious type and you want to have that kind of, I don't know. Then you designed your own sigil just so you would have your own sigil. Of course, Cersei didn't say it in that way, but that's the point. Cersei's point was that, in that scene, Cersei's point was that Littlefinger, Peter Baelish, is beneath her. He is not, he's not nobility. He just wants to be one. Ramsay Bolton, another major character in the show, also in the books. But in the books, he actually did not marry Sansa. He married another girl pretending to be Arya. It's a complete different plot point, character-wise, but story-wise, it's kind of, they kind of follow that story-wise. But character-wise, no. They changed the character completely, which is, better for the show, I suppose. Roose Bolton, again with the embroidery. I wonder if they're the same with Ramsay. Probably not. Ramsay is a bastard, diba? He is also a bastard, yeah. That's right. Hence Battle of the Bastards. Oh, okay, so now we are at the Lannisters. Here we go. Cersei, one of the best dressed in the show. The only person who would rival Cersei's dresses in best dress mode would be Daenerys Targaryen, of course, right? And then we get to Cersei. This is a gorgeous dress. I guess this is season 1 dress, no? Because it's light, it's blue, it's a light color. My memory of Cersei is really wearing ganyan. Wearing deep colors. And I like this. I like this costume particularly with the long sleeves and then that armor bustier. Yeah, exactly that. Armor bustier. Kind of badass but feminine. Just like Cersei. With the belt, ganda. So gorgeous. So beautiful. Meron din siyang lion medallion. Oh, something's happening here. Aha, she has her own fold out. Oops, sorry. So this is her lion embroidery in her dress. Somewhere in her dress. We'll find it later. And then at the other side, let's open it. Ah, who remembers this scene? I remember this scene. I remember this scene because this is one of my favorite scenes of Cersei wherein she just exhibited her badassery. This scene, not this one. This scene when Peter Baelish, Littlefinger, kind of threatened her.
Prominent families often forget a simple truth. I've found.
And which truth is that?
Knowledge is power.
Seize him. Cut his throat. Stop. Wait. I've changed my mind. Let him go. Step back 3 paces. Turn around. Close your eyes. Power is power.
Diba? I wanted to clap that moment. Just like completely badass. Cersei is supposed to be the ultimate villain, and she totally deserves that title because she's so good at it. It's greatly credited to the actor, Lena Headey. I mean, she's great. Can you just imagine another actor doing Cersei? No, you cannot. It's her. Same with the dress. Look at that. I could imagine that ay, ang ganda. Nice. I could imagine that the team assigned to Cersei to dress her would have the most amazing time thinking about what dress she would wear, what color, what accessories, how would they kind of evolve her. And now she started wearing black when Joffrey died. Yeah. The hair, the embroidery, look at that. It's just some piece of work, guys. And the unforgettable walk of shame. Ito na. And this is her comeback. With her armor. Parang ano siya, parang cut out. So it almost looks like it has chainmail underneath and then cut out leather on top with that lion embroidery and armor. Ganda. So beautiful. We're not even halfway, guys. We'll try to make this faster. And this is the dress. This is the outfit she wore when she met Daenerys Targaryen. That mini reunion in season, 7. That must have been one of the best moments to shoot because all of them are all together. See, look at that back. That love. You could just feel the love of the costume department right there. and the twist and stitching and all that. Wow. As seasons progress, no, her dresses changes into something more queenly, more rigid, more structured. In the first few dresses, she was wearing something flowy, something light, and something more feminine. Galing. But towards the end, she's, hardened. Jaime Lannister, the twin. I love Jaime. Jaime has one of the better story arcs in the books and in the show. They really showed. Oh, siya talaga. I think he's the only one who would really have that gold armor treatment, right? I mean, that's his trademark. That's his signature. That's how he is, even in the books. And you gotta love him for that. Ano kaya yung 3 swords? I wonder what that. I wonder what that means. Ay nako. This is the time when he went to Dorne. Yeah, can I just say a few things about Dorne? I hated that plotline. I really did. He did go to Dorne, but for completely different reasons if I am remembering my books right. And there's a motorcycle at the background, but that's okay. And it was just a waste of time. I mean, anyway, Jaime. I love Jaime, the actor and the character. And of course, his costumes are really nice too. This is what he wore in one of the wars, no? In one of the wars. And then this is when he's now in Winterfell, kind of softer look, no longer the hard armor. Yeah, Winterfell time to. With Brienne. When he fancied himself in love with Brienne. I cannot remember if that actually happened in the books, probably not. I know he's crazy about Cersei, and Cersei to him. Tyrion, my favorite character in the show. Not in the books though. In the books, my favorite character was Arya. But in the show, it's Tyrion. I mean, and that again is really credit to the actor, Peter Dinklage. I love him. I drink and I know things. Oh, ba? I think that's what he said. That's one of his famous lines. The hand of the king. Ganda. All the cut-out leather. This is when he was in the south na ba? When he was in the Daenerys side of the world. Tama, Eastern style. He started wearing yellow. Again, in the books, Tyrion has a worse series of events in the books. And in the books, he was much uglier in physical appearance and in attitude. Right? He's not a nice person in the books. But in the show, I think the showrunners just played off Peter Dinklage, the actor, right? I mean, he's such an amazing actor. He could really pull it off. And he started wearing blue when he became Hand of the Queen, Daenerys. Nice. I love Peter Dinklage. I love Tyrion in the show. Tywin Lannister. Perfect casting, I thought. Very loyal to the books. Wow, ang ganda pala nung... See? Again, another example of a costume that you don't appreciate watching the show. This is what he was wearing when he was buried or when he died. But you don't get to appreciate that in the show. Ito lang. This is the shot in the show and this one, the far shot. But if you zoom in, you could just feel the love again. And even this, even the ano ba tawag dyan? Armor. Can you just imagine like they have to print that on the thing? Aha, Joffrey Baratheon. I should say one of the most annoying, effectively annoying villains. Everybody hated Joffrey because he's such a great actor. Again, in fact, the cast members say that, what's his name again? Jack Gleason, the actor, is one of the funniest, if not the funniest, in the group. But then he plays the most annoying, vindictive villain in the show. Galing, no? Look at that. Nice armor with all the lions. And his crown. Ito yung wedding day. Yep. That's the day when everybody got so happy when he drank that cup with poison in it. Yeah. Season ano yun? Can't remember. 4? Okay. Myrcella Baratheon, the daughter, the youngest, and the Dorne plot point that we could all really just forget about, honestly. Nice dress though. Nice costume. Pretty girl. She doesn't wear, like, she doesn't dress and she doesn't wear like a Lannister because she grew up in Dorne. She was sent there for safety when she was still a little girl. So she started, you know, wearing dresses in the fashion of Dorne instead of Lannister. Lots of really light fabric and very happy colors and lots of skin too. Because Dorne is supposed to be a hot, parang desert place, diba? So yeah. And then we get to Tommen Baratheon, the youngest, who also ended up marrying Marjorie, and then Bronn. Not much to say about Bronn, but again, he's another dominant character in the show, enduring character in the show. Until season 8 ata, he's there. Very nice costume. Ah, ang ganda ha, see? His sleeves actually has kind of like a metallic satin finish, right? They don't often use that fabric, I think. Parang even all the other dresses, they don't use the metallic satin finish that much. The mountain, okay. Marjorie, of course, Marjorie. I love Marjorie. Lahat na lang I love, yes, I love almost all of them. I love the books. Marjorie, and because I love Natalie Dormer, also. They dress her really well. Also, again, I could imagine the costume team of Marjorie would have a field day with her. Different dressing, more skin, more feminine. See, you could see here with her cut out backless dress and that train of flowers. That must have taken a lot of time to do. Ang galing. See, nice cape. The mantle Marjorie wears over her wedding gown is an antique piece that was purchased years before the series ever went into production. That foresight, they kind of knew that they would, you know, that this fabric will not go to waste. We have to get it. And Marjorie gets to wear it. Black. When did she started wearing black? Of course she was in mourning, but who was she mourning? I can't remember. Ah, okay, sorry. Joffrey, of course. She had to show that she was mourning because she married Joffrey. Ayan na nga, their wedding day. Kind of similar to Sansa's dress, but Marjorie's is more structured, right? See, look at that detail. Talagang really pointed hips. More structured, more gold. Very nice, and longer train. And of course, the grandmama, Olenna Martell. Olenna Tyrell, not Martell. Olenna Tyrell. This scene, we all know this scene. When she admitted to Jaime that she was the one who poisoned Joffrey. So many spoilers in this episode. But the people who will be watching this would be nerds and GOT fans like me, so these are not new things. Loras Tyrell, the Knight of the Flowers. Tama ba? I think. They had to recast him. I think this is not the same actor in the first 2 seasons. They had to recast him. Also, he wears green pala. Ganda. See, again, another detail that you don't normally see in the show because the show is usually just, you know, dark for most of the time. But actually, he wears green and gold. Nice. And then the tatay, the dad, Mace Tyrell, hardly had any lines in the show. But still, impeccably dressed. Oberyn Martell. Okay, Oberyn Martell was just in 1 season of the show, but he dominated that season. He was just, everybody knew Oberyn Martell, everybody rooted for Oberyn Martell. And again, that's because of the charismatic actor himself, right? Pedro Pascal. One of the harder plot points because he dies. That was a heartbreaking scene. Another impeccably dressed character with the signature yellow color of Dorne. All the orange and the yellow. Very nice. Golden green din, no? Ganda. I wonder where are these costumes now? Where are the fabrics? Huh? And he wears, of course, he wears his red viper armor the day that he had to fight the mountain. Illyria Sand is there. This is it. This is the part where our hearts broke because he was just too arrogant. He thought that he already won and he didn't finish the job. Illyria Sand. Okay, here we come. Okay, here we go with the sand snakes and Illyria Sand and the Dorne plot point. They are all nicely, impeccably, beautifully, deliciously dressed. Lots of skin, lots of flowy fabrics, lots of, accessories. Yep. But really, the plot is forgettable, wasteful. Pero ang ganda. Again, nice costume. And this accessory right here really reminds me of Bulgari jewelry. The snake, diba, the one that kind of, the serpent that goes around you. I think it was Bulgari where I first saw that. They have a necklace that is a snake and also a bracelet. The worst plotline characters ever. The sand snakes. Sand snakes are Oberyn Martell's daughters. Okay, the 3 girls. In the books, they are developed characters. Okay, in the books they were written beautifully. In the books theirs was a story or a plot line or a subplot line that you would be interested to read, and you would be interested in these 3 ladies. But in the show they are just so superficial. They made them so cliche. One is, I don't know, one is dumb, one is angry, one is a seductress. I don't get it. I mean, their characters were so not in the books. Their characters in the show were so superficial and one-dimensional that you cannot help but hate them, and therefore hate the whole plot line. You could tell. I'm very passionately hating it. Again, in the books they are developed characters, and of course they, nice armor, nicely dressed. But yeah. Oh, see? I'm not even. Okay, moving on. Renly Baratheon. Oh, I did not realize that he wore teal belt. Look at that. He's wearing teal. Or maybe not teal. In the words of Amanda Priestley, cerulean. Devil Wears Prada. I don't know if GOT fans also watches Devil Wears Prada, but I do. Yeah, Renly. Yeah. Season, lang yata siya, 2 seasons. Stannis Baratheon, the conflicted king with the heart. Oh, siya lang yung may ganan. Baratheon, there's a Baratheon stag, sigil, and the heart, and his armor. That's a nice touch. Davos Seaworth, of course, his necklace, leather necklace. We all know what's in that leather pouch. Supposedly, his fingers is in the leather pouch to remind him of the mercy that was given to him by Stannis Baratheon, and then he became a loyal Stannis Baratheon subject. Melisandre, the Red Woman, gorgeous, gorgeous actor. Again, beautifully played by this actor. What's her name? Carice Van Houten. Oh, diba? She wore only one kind of dress the whole show, but that was more than enough. Ganda rin. I also like her story arc wherein you kind of started doubting her, you kind of started unsure about her, and then towards the end you kind of really thanking her for lighting that fire so that the walkers, were they called walkers? Anong tawag sa kanya? The
White Walkers?
The White Walkers, not the walkers in the other show, would not enter Winterfell. Gendry, I don't like Gendry. I'm sorry. I appreciate the character, but I don't know. Okay, let's move on to Targaryen. Okay, here we go. Of course, they had to make this last because this is the Queen of Dragons. And she's the whole point of the whole show. Her and Jon Snow. House Targaryen. Again, if I am going to be assigned in any team in GOT costume department, it would be with Daenerys, of course. And this was season 1, episode 1, I think, or episode 2. She still wears very virginal, very innocent, flimsy, flowy dresses. Very innocent pa siya. This was the wedding with Khal Drogo, with her dragon accessories right there. Still very soft, very, timid, very ignorant pa, not ignorant, innocent. And then she comes into her own. This is after season 1. This is season 2. You could see that she's already covered in blood. She's covered in dirt. She's been walking in the desert for so long after the death of Khal Drogo, which broke everybody's heart. I was in denial because I watched season 1 HBO first before I started reading the books. I have known about the books forever. I have a friend who's been convincing me to read the books but never gotten around to it until the show came out. And then I loved the show so much and then I decided to read the books. So after season 1, we watched it in one go, as we all did, of course. We watched it in one go, and I remember being in denial that Ned Stark, died, that his head was cut off, and then Khal Drogo died also in the fire, and all that stuff. I was in complete denial. I thought they would come back in season 2 for whatever reason, but no, that's not how George R.R. Martin rolls. No. When he senses that you love a character, he'll kill them off. Okay, so this beautiful blue dress. Look at that. And that's another nice lucky thing about Daenerys, right? She traveled a lot. She traveled a lot in the East. That she gets to absorb the fashion in the place that she goes to. And this is one example of it. When she went to Karth. Nice, flowy.
He's my advisor. My friend.
Unlikely. I can almost always tell what a man wants.
And what about what a woman wants?
Much more complicated.
Ooh, look at that. Oh, I love this. I love that little armor thing. Reminds me of that armor, Filipiniana armor type that Heart Evangelista wore in one of the sauna. But anyway, love this bustier. With the look, and by the way, that too, right? The fashion of Daenerys is just kind of like Cersei, evolves, and like Sansa, evolves beautifully from head to toe. Her hairstyle, her accessories, her shoes. May cut-out din pala. Whew, beautiful pink, the same kind of bustier motif, bustier / armor motif. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Ooh, look at that blue. I love her in blue. I have to admit, her blue dresses are the ones I like her in the most. And her necklace, and her dragon's tooth necklace. This iconic, memorable, unforgettable scene wherein she gets to flex her her semi-adolescent dragons. Diba? Such a badass moment. Like, this is the time where she's really like, I am queen, I have dragons, you bet I'm gonna conquer the damn world. Again, the nice blue and silver, the pleats. She's the only one, right? Now that we've seen like the costume changes, she's the only one who wears pleats. Diba? Or maybe pati maybe her lady in waiting then, but she's so far she's the only one who wears pleats. And this dress, another iconic dress moment for her, because this was the point when she was rescued by Drogon and then they flew off.
Protect your queen!
when she's now going into Westeros. She started wearing dark colors, black, and she started wearing armor like leather and really thick materials because she's going into the land of winter. So she needs to, ayan na nga, she needs to wear fur. Very windy. I wonder where they shot this. Yeah. Nice. Only Dany could pull off that coat. Ooh, look at that. Look at that back detail. Again, you could just tell it's like love. People love making these. The pleats again. And of course her signature dragon accessory. And then a little modification to that fur coat. It's similar, but it's certainly not the same because this time she has the red, blood red. Is it blood red? Or what do they call that? Ox blood red piping underneath. Kind of gives that coat a little spooky, eerie vibe, diba? Because it looks like blood. That's why. And more red. Interesting that she wore red because red is Lannister, diba? I wonder what they were thinking at this point. What were they thinking about? I would never have thought that they would dress her in red. And again, see, it's like a reverse version of the other coat. And of course, she gets her own fold out as well, like Cersei. And similar to Cersei, another, different iterations of her coat and her dress. And I guess they settled into this kind of metallic leather ombre, red, silver, gray ombre. Look at that. She's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. Everybody wanted that platinum blonde hair of Dany. Everybody thought they could pull it off too. Missandei, blue, lots of blue. Yep. Ganda, very nice. Ooh, I love this. I love how the simple cutouts, leather cutouts. Grabe, you have to have a flat abs talaga. This is her sigil. Now, what is it? And she also wore a similar kind of counterpart to that blue, but this time in armor leather, black motif. This is when they finally arrived in Dragonstone. I love that moment. Grey Worm, the Unsullied. Oh, Jorah Mormont. Grabe. This is like a 10-year show wherein you're with this group of people for 10 years, right? That must be something. Jorah has been with Dany from season 1, episode 1 until season 8, episode 3, I think. Or was it 4? I think it was 3. I think it was 3 when he died. Yan na. Ay, ito na yun. This is that moment. My gosh. That episode was so dark. You had to be right in front of the TV to see what the hell was going on. Varys. Sneaky little Varys. Everything he does is for the realm. It's like a love-hate relationship with Varys every single time. But in the end, you don't really hate Varys. You kind of understand him. I didn't like how they killed him off in the show. And obviously, season 5, I think, starting season 5, 6, 7, 8 season, everything was off book practically. It was all the showrunners storytelling with the blessing of George R.R. Martin. But of course, it's still very different from seasons 1, 2, and 3, and also 4, right? Wherein they kind of have source material to come back to. They have, rich, developed plot lines and characters that they can fall back on and kind of refer to. But towards the end, that just disappeared. So they had to just focus on the big shock and awe style. Jon Snow, baby boy pa. And then he becomes Lord Snow, Lord Commander. I think Jon Snow must have the heaviest costume, or one of the. See, look at that. How much leather and rug and carpet and fur is he wearing? Not to mention the accessories. Samuel Tarly. a nice, lovable character, Samuel Tarly. The Wildlings, Ygritte. Ooh, I love this character. What's his name again? Tormund. Not this one, not this one. This one, Tormund. Everybody loved Tormund, and everybody loved Tormund primarily because, again, of the actor. The giants. Grabe. So detailed. Look at that. They're so good at making them look so gnarly. And the Night King, bonus trivia. Bonus na trivia pa. Trivia, the Night King started out as one of the stunt choreographers of the show. In the start, like season 1 or 2. And then eventually, he was asked by the creator, do you want to play a small part? The first man, diba? Parang there was a scene wherein somebody was telling the story of the children of the tree, and then the first man, he was that, and then they realized, why don't you just play the Night King all throughout the show? And he did, and he was great. But again, I didn't like how he ended. I didn't. That was a great moment, by the way, when Arya did her knife bluff thing and then kind of stabbed whatever, diba? She did that with Brienne of Tarth in their practice round, but that was a great moment. That was like the climax of that really dark episode, and we all loved Arya for it, and we all loved that the Night King died. But if you think about it, I don't agree that the Night King died so easily and in that manner too. Like, really? That's it? Just one stab of Valyrian steel of Arya? Maybe there's more to it, right? Maybe there's a reason. Maybe that was destined. Maybe there was a prophecy somewhere that was not really shared in the show, wherein Arya was really meant to be the one to kill him. That would have made more sense. That would have been more impactful if that was told in the show. Again, we don't know kasi off-book na yan. But, yeah. I mean, I thought the Night King deserved a grander way to die. And by the way, he had all his generals behind him. And nothing else happened. Okay, we're supposed to talk about the costumes, not about the plot. So, Beric Dondarrion, another great character in the books. Not so much in the show. Well, okay na rin. He's okay in the show, but he's better in the books. The Hound, another nice, very good story arc. Very convincing actor, I have to say. And I love I love the relationship between him and Arya. Oh, we came to the end. Oh, would you look at that? Well done, guys. 438 pages. And that's the end of it. Yay! And we are done. I hope you enjoyed that. This is, again, a nice, heavy, hefty book. Really a great addition to your coffee table, especially for GOT nerds and fans like me. And just another thing, there's a postcard here. This book is actually 3 versions, right? So what I got is the costumes, Game of Thrones, the costumes version. They also have the photography of Game of Thrones, wherein it's the official photos of the show from seasons 1 to 8. And then they have another book, The Art of Game of Thrones, which I think they talk more about the set, the sets, how they built them, where they built them, and so on. I'm still thinking whether I'm going to get the other 2. Maybe I will eventually, but I went for the costumes first because I'm just really interested in, I'm always interested in the costumes and what these characters wear. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it helps. I encourage you to read the books. Granted, we're all still waiting for books 6 and 7 to end the story, but hey, it's still good. It's a page turner. It's a must read, especially books 1 to 3. You won't regret it. It's a good fantasy book. And again, this is my little way, our little way of celebrating the 10th ba? Tama? 2011 eh. Celebrating the 10th year anniversary of Game of Thrones HBO. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Thanks, guys. Nalala akong boses. Whew. And in case you're wondering, there's a reason. I don't know if you noticed, we have our lights in red and blue because of Ice and Fire. Diba? Okay na, Han.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Ayoko sumama sa friendo ko.
Okay na ba? Na-record ba?
Namatay na yung iPhone.
Totoo?
Joke lang.
2 hours?